A woman found dead in Trinity Bellwoods Park in 2020 has recently been identified through a collaboration between Toronto Police and the DNA Doe Project. For more on how DNA testing and genealogy research is helping investigations, we're joined live now by Detective Sergeant Steve Smith from the Toronto Police Homicide Unit, Cold Case and Missing Persons. Detective Sergeant Smith, thank you for joining us to talk about this. Let's first get a definition of what exactly constitutes a Jane Doe case.
Jane Doe case would be if we find a person deceased and we're unable to identify them by any other means. That would be fingerprints, dental records, media releases, having a family member or someone that knew the person call in and identify the person for us so that we could go back and identify them through DNA.
Okay, so just to recap, this woman found dead in Trinity Bellwoods Park in 2020. No foul play, that was ruled out. So she died of natural causes, but you were still unable to identify her. How did DNA testing and genealogy help assist in solving this case for her identity?
So we utilized the DNA that we had taken from our unidentified human remains, and we used genetic testing on it. So we were able to build a family tree and utilize a database out of the US, GEDmatch, and we were able to have familial connections and work our way backwards to close relatives in Canada, and we were able to come up with a name that we believed was our Jane Doe. And further to that, we were able to go out and collect DNA as well as get dental records to prove that the person that we believed it was actually our Jane Doe.
And this happened relatively quickly, correct? When the Doe DNA project approached you, was this identity solved in basically a week's time?
From the time that the genetic testing was completed, yes, it was about a week and a half's time. It went very quickly because when you're utilizing unidentified human remains through genetic genealogy, you're able to use 100% of the database, whereas with criminal matters, you only use about 17% of the database that has opted in for police involvement. So we were able to find some very close relatives, and we were able to quickly provide our Jane Doe with a name.
So, Detective Sergeant Smith, this case really highlights the importance of people, general people like you and me, uploading our DNA profiles to websites such as GEDmatch and other ones like Ancestry.com. Are people doing that enough, and has that really helped in solving Jane Doe cases?
Just to be clear, the police don't have access to the PayperUse sites. So the only two websites that we use for this sort of familial matching are GEDmatch and Family Tree DNA on specific cases. But anybody that does a kit through any of the other PayperUse sites can upload to GEDmatch or Family Tree DNA as well.
All right. So if this particular Jane Doe had her family not created some online DNA profile, would she still be considered a Jane Doe today?
She would, unfortunately. But luckily for us, we were able to give her name back and advise her family of what happened. This is a new process that we've used in Toronto. This is the first time that we've actually used it for an unidentified human remains, but it's one that we're going to look at using a lot more in the future to give people their names back.
Yeah, I'm sure that's bringing a lot of closure to our family. Detective Sergeant Steve Smith from the Toronto Police Homicide Unit, Cold Case and Missing Persons Division, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon.